First of all, acknowledging the lands of the people that we stand upon, my Inuk brothers and sisters, thanking them for allowing me to be here and allowing me to speak on their lands. I also want to make sure that we thank the Creator for this day that has been given to us by honoring our elders who are here among us, and by all of us remembering our ancestors and where we come from. So we can start everything that we do, sort of grounding who we are, where we come from, and the things that are important in each of our worlds. I know I talked quite a bit yesterday about the things that are going on in Alaska and shared with you some of the issues, the problems that we're experiencing, especially around environment, ecosystems, lands, people, all of those things that are really impacting our communities in Alaska. I talked about the issues of many of our villages now facing relocation because of the storms, the coastal erosion, the things that are happening in our communities. Right now we have 7 villages that are having to look at critically having to move their village, several that are in the process of beginning to move their villages already because their homes are literally being washed away by the storms and the loss of the sea ice that used to protect their villages. So this is to us a very real circumstance that we're living in. You know, when you're faced with those kinds of things, our communities in Alaska, most people don't recognize that 85% of our villages are coastal communities. And when you're talking about that number of people and places that over the coming times are going to be facing these very same challenges. I look out here at the window here and see Frobisher Bay out here. I want you guys to be aware that that sea level change is going to impact you here too. We happen to see what's happening in Alaska because of our location, but it's going to be happening. You know, you look at the projections where you see Manhattan underwater, where you see the whole coast of Florida. These are things that will happen, if not in our lifetime, certainly within our grandchildren and children's lifetime. So these are really serious issues and something we all need to pay a little closer attention to. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we're dealing with these issues in Alaska. One of the sad things that we see is because of all of these things that are happening and so rapidly, this change that's occurring in all of our communities, is this feeling of despair, of lack of hope. What are we going to do? How do we get ourselves out of looking just like victims and always being victims of the circumstances? We really needed to start engaging our communities in being proactive, in remembering that not only us but our ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Thousands of years. We've survived in the harshest of climates, in all kinds of circumstances. And our kids need to know that. They need to know that we come from this really resilient and adaptive people, these strong people who can really live and survive in the kinds of a world that's coming to us. We actually think that we are part of the solution for the worldwide problems that are coming because we have that resilience and that ability to adapt. We know what it has taken for our ancestors to have lived through the experiences, and we hope that we can provide that kind of knowledge to the rest of the world so they can survive as well. So that's why we started this particular project called the Community Partnership for Self-Reliance and Sustainability. We really wanted our communities to start thinking about their own power, what they could do today, how they could help their communities to survive. So I picked 4 of the different villages that we're working with in Alaska. These are some of the folks, and I'll go through each of these, but these are villages. Here up on the upper left-hand corner is a place called Iqaluit. Over on the right-hand side is Kayakuk. No, sorry, that's not. That is Newtok, and down in the bottom here is Iqaluit, and then Nikolai over in the other corner. So these are all different villages that we're working at. And you can see that we not only do projects, but we actually have a lot of fun when we go in and work within our communities as well. Okay. So this was sort of an interesting idea of our villages, the Alaska Native Science Commission, and our partners at the university. We wanted to make sure that our partners at the university, whose mandate it is to provide service to the communities, we wanted to find a way for them at the universities to be more effective in working with our villages. So we went out and we found these partners at the University of Alaska. We went to engage them and got them all to agree to be part of this partnership so that they would provide the help, the guidance, and the assistance that our communities wanted. And it wouldn't just be sending out researchers to do their own research stuff, but really to begin to help the communities with what they wanted, what they perceived as their own needs. So these are all of the partners that we've worked with at the University of Alaska system. And you can see there are quite a few of them. Everything from forestry to climate, sea life, sort of all of these kinds of things. Cooperative extension, we really have utilized a lot of those partners and have begun to bring them into the communities so that they get to know who they are and feel comfortable working with them. So I'm going to just, over the next couple of slides, go through some of the projects that these individual communities decided. Our first trip into each of these communities, we have a team of people that go out from the Science Commission, from the university, and some technical people as well who are part of our team. Our first contact with bringing in our team is just to sit and listen. That's all we do. We do basically traditional talking circles where people, we gather together community members and listen to what they see as issues within their communities, and then help them to build some projects, some priorities of things that they think the university and the Science Commission can help them with. So that's how we really start this program, is listening to them, not bringing in our own ideas. So these are some of the things that, for instance, in Iqaluit. Up in again at the top part of this, you can see one of the amazing things that they have done is they've started their own greenhouse project there now. That is not only this cool greenhouse project, but it is all wind and solar driven. Yeah. So they're supplying food to their elders. They supply food to their school so that the kids are beginning to eat more healthy kinds of foods, that they're beginning to raise them themselves and to really participate and be part of a nutritious and good health program. I'm really happy to say that this village is one of my favorite places in all of Alaska. The two dynamic young women who run this program, and actually the village, who are the village leaders, one just came back from Dartmouth, and they were both part of our internship program at the Science Commission. So we really helped to train them and to build them into leadership programs so they could go back into their communities and really become those dynamic young leaders with some vision and some ability to move on. So you can see they're doing really pretty well. This is an interesting village because Iqaluit sits in right at the juncture of Bristol Bay fisheries. So I don't know how many of you know about the Bristol Bay fisheries and the Pebble Mine. Maybe you've heard of the Pebble Mine project, which is supposed to be one of the largest copper and gold mines in all of the world. It's a huge debate and issue that's going on in Alaska right now over whether or not this huge mining company should be allowed to be part of this area, where also the Bristol Bay fisheries is one of the largest and best in the world. People are really concerned about what will happen to the fish that supplies not only us in Alaska, but truly worldwide. It is one of the biggest fisheries in the world, and really worried about what will happen with that. Just a couple of weeks ago, Anglo American, one of the major contributors to the Pebble Mine project pulled out. So now they have actually removed themselves from the Pebble Mine project. Northern Dynasty is the only one left at the table funding the Pebble Mine. So we're thinking it's probably not going to happen, and most of the public sentiment is that people don't want to see this fisheries endangered by the mining company. So we'll see where that ends up. Some of the things that they were really looking at was energy planning, and so the university has really worked with them in building now a comprehensive energy plan. They have real problems with the kind of fuel that's available in those areas. Another thing that they're looking at was land and water rights because of where they're located at this Bristol Bay fishery. Right outside their village, there are at least a dozen lodges, fishing lodges, private fishing lodges right outside their doorstep. And that creates a lot of land rights and water rights issues that they're now beginning to try to figure out. How do they keep those lodges from dumping their wastes into the waters all around their communities, because that is where they get their drinking water. So just those kinds of things that we've now got teams working with them to help them looking at those land and water rights. In Newtok, this is one of the villages that's probably seen as one of the poster children of climate change. It's, they just ran a whole series of articles, for those of you who missed it, in The Guardian in the UK, called The First Climate Refugees, the first US climate refugees. And this is the village that this is happening in Newtok. You can see that they are literally losing their land. Just from the times that I've been going there over the last few years, half of what used to be there is gone now. So it's really a major issue that they've now selected another site. They've begun construction now of moving their place inland, because there was no other place for them to move to. One of the interesting side problems to this is most of these communities actually, our communities are pretty much nomadic, or semi-nomadic, and that's how we've always moved, with seasons, with fishing, with berry picking, and just been able to move around. But when infrastructure came in, when schools and military and all of those other things, they built an infrastructure and built it, of course, along the coastline, because that's where they could ship everything in. So it's not really the choice of many of these communities where they're located. It would not have been our choice to be right there at that point, but the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, mandated that it be located at that place. So some of the things that you can see that Newtok is looking at, we've been working with them a lot now. The Cold Climate Housing Research Center has just helped them with the design for an emergency shelter. That's going to be one of the first buildings that they're moving into their new site. They're looking over, again, long-term sustainable planning. And one of the things, they have a very, very strong culture there. All of our meetings in Newtok, for instance, are all in Yupik language, because that's what everybody speaks there. So we learn to conduct everything that we do in their languages as well. They want to write a book about all of their stories there, so we're now beginning to look at a way to work with our Humanities Forum in Alaska to help them to get that done. Iqaluit, these are some of the projects. This is a village there. If you can see up on the top there, you see all those lines that are there. This is their washateria, but you can see that's the water line that they use for flooding, because unfortunately these communities all up and down the Yukon River are communities that get flooded almost every springtime when breakup comes. Galena, that's just a few miles up the road from Iqaluit, completely flooded out this last springtime. 900 homes washed away. So you can see that problems really do come not only from the coastal communities, but the flooding along the river systems as well. This community has started now to build all of their structures now are on stilts. They're built up higher, and that's why they keep these water lines there, the height of the water, so they can see how high they need to keep their buildings up off of the ground so that they won't have to be flooded out. That's one of the things they're looking at. Energy is another thing. Energy issues, especially in the remote villages in Alaska, are huge. It's a major problem that all of our communities are facing. When our elders are paying $1,000 a month just to heat their homes, they can't do that. So consequently, we're beginning to lose many of our elders now, having to move into larger communities because they can't afford to stay home anymore. So energy use and energy planning is one of the things that we're working with a lot with our universities partners, looking at a lot of other alternative energy sources as well. And of course, protecting their homelands. Let's go back one. Okay, no, next one. Iqaluit, food security and subsistence, reducing fuel costs. Let me talk again. You can see all of the wood that's in the bottom part of this. That is the primary fuel source for a lot of the communities that are now going back to using wood and coal because they cannot afford the prices of paying $1,000 a month for heating fuel. And we all know that coal and wood is not the best method health-wise for our communities. We're a little concerned. So we're trying to find ways that we can build better products, bring in more energy efficient wood stoves that people are going to use and are already using within their communities. Okay. This is an example of one of the posters that Iqaluit put together to show their community the kinds of things that we're doing in this partnership. So they did a really nice job in just talking about the partnership and really getting people involved. We've done a lot. When we're there, as I said, we're there for days at a time, sometimes weeks at a time. We go in at least 2 or 3 times during every season, during every year. We bring in we bring in food to share with our communities. We provide incentives for people to come. For instance, we do raffles for gas or oil, so people can be encouraged to come in and be participants. To be honest with you, we've ended up getting most of the people anyhow, just because they kind of know us and they've all become our family, and mostly we're staying at Grandma's house when we're living there in the community anyhow. So it's become a really, really strong relationship. And it helps that we at the Science Commission can really start to build and foster that kind of relationship with the university partners as well. They can begin to really become better teachers, better educators, better partners in developing the kinds of programs and relationships our communities want. I wanted to end with this is one of the most recent publications that myself and a few of my other colleagues just published an article in Climate Change Journal, and these were indigenous frameworks for responding to climate change in Alaska, and these were the primary results that came out of it. One, to engage our communities in designing their own climate change solutions, creating an environment of mutual respect and multiple ways of knowing, directly assisting communities in achieving their adaptation goals, promoting partnerships that foster effective solutions from both Western and Indigenous perspectives, and fostering regional and international networking so that we can share these climate solutions. And that's why I'm here today. So, Kuyana, thank you all very much.